Alright, so today we are doing an artwork that will show the change that has occurred in the Australian landscape since European colonisation. So what you're going to produce is one of these. So you can see it's a picture. When you look at it from that point of view, it doesn't look like much. When you look at it from that perspective though, you can see it's a picture of Sydney Harbour before European settlement. When you look at it from this point of view, it's a picture of Sydney Harbour after European settlement. And the artwork we're creating today is a really great way of showing the way something has changed. Today we're using it for our history ERP, but you might want to do this in future for another ERP if you enjoy it. Alright, now I'm going to take you through the steps as to how you're going to create your artwork. So your teacher is going to give you 4 pieces of paper. They're going to give you 2 big ones that will look like these, and they're going to give you 2 A4 pieces that will look like these. I'm going to show you what to do with each of them. The first one that you need to deal with is this one. It's the one with the box on it and the very faint lines. And the first thing you're going to do is cut out around the dark lines, and then you're going to use the faint lines to help you with some folding. So you can see I've finished cutting out my piece of paper now around the dark lines, and I'm going to show you how to fold it. What you're going to do is fold this in a concertina pattern. So using these lines as a guide, you're going to very carefully fold it backwards and forwards. Once you've folded one fold, it's a good idea to turn it over to do the next one. And always making sure you're folding along the very faint lines on this piece of paper. The more time you put into this, and the better job you will do, the better your end result will be. It's worth doing a good job of this, guys. So when you have finished your folding, you'll have your paper in a concertina sort of shape like this. We're going to put this aside for the moment, and we're going to use it again later on. So when you've done your concertina on your piece of paper, you're going to do your 2 images. And to do your 2 images, you're going to use these 2 A4 pieces of paper that your teacher has given you. First thing you need to do is cut down this dark line, and we're going to throw away this part. We're going to do our image on the side with the lines. So when you cut it off, it will be about that big. And you're going to do a before image on one and an after image on the other. I'm going to go away now and do my 2 drawings, and I'll be back when they're done. So I've finished my 2 images now. I have one image of Sydney before the first fleet arrived, and then I have done a second image of Sydney after the first fleet has arrived. So I've tried to keep the shape of the harbour similar, but in the after image you can see I've added in all the buildings, and there's the Opera House on point, and all the things you can see in Sydney today. Whereas in the before image I have some Indigenous people having a fire on the beach and some kangaroos down the bottom, that kind of thing. So before and after, I'm going to be doing 2 pictures. So the next step is where things get a little bit tricky, where you need to be really careful that you don't make a mistake. So what you'll need for this step is just one of your images. I'm going to start with my before image and my concertina. And what I'm going to do is very carefully cut down the faint lines on the image. I'm going to cut down each line, and then I'm going to start sticking the image onto my concertina. So my first one will go there. I'm going to do my second one. And that will go there. I'm very careful that I'm always skipping. So stick on one, skip a panel. Stick on a panel, skip a panel. And I'm going to keep cutting my picture and sticking on until every second one of these has part of my picture on it. So I've finished cutting and sticking my first image, and my concertina now looks like this. Now when you do this, it's really important that you keep your strips in order. In fact, I recommend cutting a strip and then sticking it. Cut then stick, cut then stick. Don't cut it all out and then try and stick it in order, because it will be too hard to remember which strip goes next to which one. So your next step is to do exactly the same thing with the other picture, but this time you're going to be sticking your strips in the spaces. So when you change the angle that you're looking at it, the image that you see will change. So once again, cut then stick, cut then stick. So I stuck both my images to my concertina now, and it's really starting to come together. You can see when you look at it from this point of view, that's your after, and that's your before image. The problem is, it's a little bit floppy and a little bit, it doesn't stand up on its own. So what we need to do is put it in a frame. And that's what your final piece of paper is for, the one that's been sitting there the whole time. So first step you're going to do is cut around the outside box, and then you're going to fold along the dark lines and turn this into a kind of box frame for your concertina to go in. Alright, so that's it, I'm done. I've got my concertina into the box, and now when you look at it from this point of view, this perspective, you can see Sydney Harbour before European settlement, and when you turn around and look at it from this point of view, you can see Sydney Harbour after European settlement. So we're looking at the change that European settlement has caused in this landscape.